What a wonderful night. It's podcast night in Houston, Texas. And who wouldn't be excited? Of course I'm excited. I get to talk to people of your stature, of your importance. And to be able to speak and to have that go into your ears wherever you are. It's amazing. The internet's really an amazing thing, and I think we ought to be thankful for the internet. That's very powerful. My name is John Tyler. I'm coming at you pre-recorded from the apartments in Houston. And just a pleasure to be able to reach out for a moment, be able to talk to you about what's been going on, share some secret messages. You ready for a secret message? I got a secret message for you. Just what you want to hear, a secret message. Gonna catch you up with what's been going on. I hear some people outside enjoying their night. Probably having some cervezas, as we call them here. We call them cervezas. We don't call them cervezas. We do. Because that's what they're called. Probably some cervezas being consumed outside. But we're going to go ahead and talk to you guys. I'm going to share from my heart. Share what's been going on. Going to get a chance to talk to the princess for a few minutes tonight. The princess is my future wife, in case you were wondering. And going to get to just catch you guys up, because I know that sometimes when I don't blog for a while, we start to worry. When I post videos on Twitter, we're confused. We don't understand. We need to understand. Well, at least as much as I want you to understand. I don't want you to understand everything. I think things are better, a little bit hazy. Because, well, I don't know. I don't want you to ever understand everything. It's just, I want to catch you guys up, let you know what's going on. We're in the apartments here tonight. And very interesting set of apartments that I find myself in tonight, and I'm very happy I'm here. I don't want anybody to think that anything that I'm about to say is critical, because these are not critical comments. These are very positive comments. How many of you know that if you're unhappy where you are, you leave? Well, the fact that I'm here must mean that I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. So, but I do want to point some things out that demographically, I think it would be fair to say that I am in somewhat of a minority here. This is a very how do I say this, heavily Hispanic area of the city of Houston. In fact, so Hispanic that I've never seen anything like this outside of Tijuana. Tijuana is the only city in Mexico that I've ever visited, and this reminds me more of Tijuana than it does, say, San Antonio, whereas, as many of you know, that I lived for several years several years ago. Just a very interesting community and situation. English is not the primary language here. We speak Spanish here, and I'm at an extreme disadvantage because I don't utter a word of Spanish. I mean, I do remember this from high school. Yo soy Juan estudiante de español en la escuela La Porte High School. And other than that, pretty much Jesus Cristo es Dios, and cervezas, and as long as you know that, you're in pretty good shape around here. But that's where I'm at. And it's been a real pleasure enjoying the culture of living in a different place. And if you'll excuse me, I'm going to shift a little bit here, move around a little bit, and it may cause a little noise in your ear. But I'm enjoying the culture here in Houston, Texas. Or the culture is unique when you live in a place that's where English is not the primary language. There's a lot of things that go on that are kind of unusual and funny. I was really enjoying one day. I it was one of my first days here, and I was sitting around in the apartment, and I noticed this noise, and I hear this noise like honk honk, honk 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 honk, honk 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 honk. I'm like, what the heck in the world is this honk 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 honk? Then I listened some more, honk 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 honk, and then there's this man's voice, and it went. And then there was honk 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 honk. It's honk 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 honk. And it kept going on and on for minutes. And I'm thinking, man, somebody downstairs has got a buzz. I mean, you know, what in the world could possibly be going on downstairs, right? Well, I noticed that this was happening all the time, like daily. Honk honk honk. Sounds like a bicycle horn. Honk 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 honk. Yes, honk honk. Well, I don't know what in the world. After weeks and weeks of this going on, I finally caught a glimpse of this guy. I thought, well, maybe it's somebody selling something. You know, he's selling ice cream out of a little cart. Or maybe he's got he's selling fried chicken out of a truck, and he's taking some of it around, and he wants to sell some of it. I didn't know what the heck was going on. But I went down there one day after 6 weeks of this. Honk, 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 honk. It's a guy walking around with a bicycle horn in his hand with a backpack on his back. I mean, just walking through the courtyard out there. Honk, 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 honk. Really weird. I love that stuff. You know how in communities around Houston, they'll have like on Saturday, they'll have like soccer. You know, the kids will get together and they'll play soccer on Saturday. Here, they play soccer until 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, that's not really strange. You mean like on Saturday? I mean Monday, Tuesday night. I can hear a whistle blowing. They're out there playing soccer all night. They take soccer seriously here. More serious than football. And I don't mean that European football. I mean this Houston Texans silliness. I'm talking about they take soccer serious here. And they play all night. Right next door, I got a soccer stadium. Or it's not a stadium. It's like they love their soccer here. It's incredible. It's incredible. Oh, another thing. The people in this community, they're really into the gospel. And I'm not talking about like the gospel like on TV these days, you know. I'm talking about bullhorn pamphlets, like the gospel, like when I was in high school, passing out tracts. Listen, if there's a knock at my door, knock, knock, knock on the door, I know either one or two different things is happening. Somebody's either going to tell me about Jesus or somebody is selling me tamales. And that's what's going on here. They're either telling you about Jesus or they're selling you tamales. And I've had better tamales, I'll tell you that. I hope I'm not offending anybody, but I've had better tamales. I hadn't had better Jesus, but I've had better tamales. They're evangelical. They'll stand out here on the side of the road right by my apartment with bullhorns, man. Man, you know it's turn or burn around here. Get your stuff straight or you're going straight to hell. Oh, and they pass out tracts. And it ain't, Jesus wants you healthy, wealthy, and wise and prosperous. It's get your life right or you're going to hell. I mean, they really want to share the gospel around here. And I appreciate that. I love that about these people. They're really God-fearing people, and I love that. Um, in my notes, it says people in the sheets. I know I'm misreading that, but people in the sheets. What the heck does that mean, John? I hate when I take notes for these things and I scribble something down and then I look at it afterwards. Another thing, and we're already to 10 minutes. Boy, you guys have really had to listen to me for a long time tonight. Hold on a minute. I've been a little apprehensive about the whole princess thing here. I don't exactly know how I'm going to proceed or if I'm really going to worry about it. But as you know, the princess has been the theme for years, and we really want to find the princess. She's a hiding princess, and I can't seem to find her, but I'm going to talk to her in a few minutes. She's really special. I have a secret message. Secret message. But around here, apparently, if a guy my age moves into the neighborhood and he just lives by himself in an apartment and he's got a Twitter that has a tiara on it, he plays music videos with young women, that could be a red flag. Because apparently in this community, everybody dresses their 15-year-old daughter up in a tiara and marches her around in a ball gown when when she has her 15th birthday. So I want people to understand that I'm not after your 15-year-old daughters. That's not what this is about. Um, the princess is much older than that. And I think that's good advice. That's good news to everybody here. But um, you guys can relax. I'd actually like to stay away from the 15-year-old daughters. I just want my princess, and I don't know about the tiara theme because they do that. That's part of the culture. Did you know that? They put a tiara on the head of the 15-year-old girl and put her in a ball gown and march her around. It's like part of their culture. And I'm learning a lot about Hispanic culture, and it's a really wonderful thing. A really wonderful thing. I'm starting to think I'm part Hispanic. I love Mexican food too. Love those tamales. But I've had better tamales than I've bought around here. The ones I bought around here are really, they got to step up their game. You got to step up your game. Mama Nympho would not be happy. Mama Nympho would be disappointed. Have you guys been thinking about these presidential elections? Have you guys been watching this stuff on the TV set? I mean, who are we going to vote for? Are we supposed to vote for okay, so here's my question about this. I've been paying close attention. Um, on the Republican side, and we've got to believe everything these people say, right? Because these are our leaders, and our leaders always tell us the truth. That is such a wonderful thing about being an American is that the people on the TV and our leaders, they always tell us the truth, and that's just wonderful. So Donald Trump says Jeb Bush is as stupid as a rock. And then Jeb Bush says that um, that Donald Trump is a jerk. So I was thinking the other night, so who do we want in the White House? Somebody that's as stupid as a rock or somebody that's a jerk? I mean, that's really hard when you got to decide between stupid as a rock and a jerk. When you got the most powerful job in the world, that's difficult. And then the other night I watched the Democrats and Hillary Clinton. She's a pretty good sell because I mean she would be the first woman. We want women. We got the first black man. Now we want a first woman, right? That's important. We want to show we're diverse. We want to show that that America's a place of opportunity for everybody. But Hillary Clinton said something kind of interesting. She said that ISIS, the terrorists, are using Donald Trump videos to recruit. Man, if all that's true, I'm confused. How are we supposed to vote? Donald Trump's a recruiter for ISIS. Donald Trump is a jerk. Jeb Bush is stupid as a rock. And now Donald Trump is calling Hillary Clinton a liar. So who do we want in the White House? Do we want the liar in the White House? Do we want the stupid as a rock in the White House? Or do we want the jerk that's a recruiter for ISIS? Man, this is going to be a really tough decision here. I may be up all night the night before voting night. I can't figure. This has really been tough, and this is getting tougher and tougher. I mean, between those three, stupid as a rock, recruiter for ISIS, jerk, and the liar. What are we supposed to do? I don't understand. How are we supposed to vote? Um, but Hillary's kind of interesting, right? Because she's a whether you agree with her politics or not, she is apparently I think a nice. It seems like a nice enough woman, and I like Hillary Clinton as a person. I don't agree with everything she says, but I like her as a person, and she'd be a first. Like this current president, he was the first black man, right? We want the black children to look up to their president and say, I could be a president someday. I could aspire to something greater. It's important. That's important. We want our young girls to look up to the president someday, whether Hillary Clinton ends up being that person or not. But we want our young girls to look up to the president and say, I could be president someday. That's important. That's important. But, it's funny because, our first black president, remember, Mr. Barack Obama, he went to change Washington. And then kind of funny, he didn't change Washington much, did he? Because he learned something. He learned the person who goes to Washington to change Washington doesn't get to stay in Washington. And see, they get elected every 4 years. I think the way to fix this. See, Barack Obama, I think he went with the right goal. I think to change Washington is the right goal, but the problem is the way the system's rigged. You can't do that. You can't do that and get your next 4 years. So what they ought to change, what they ought to do, or what they ought to consider doing, is this rule where you can only be president twice, right? You can only be elected twice. I think they ought to eliminate that rule. John Tyler thinks they ought to change the Constitution. The Lord God Almighty wrote the Constitution. That is a God-inspired document. No, that wasn't a God-inspired document. The book of Philippians, that's a God-inspired document. The Constitution was written by men. We ought to do away with only being able to be president twice. You should be able to be president as many times as the American people will elect you. But what we ought to change is you could only be president one time consecutively. George Bush. Remember on Saturday Night Live the other night, everybody wanted George Bush to be back on president, big back president? He could be. But the problem is we cannot let these people go one time after another, because the problem is once they get elected, the first thing they start doing is worrying about the next election. And that changes what they do. They can't change Washington. Because you can't change Washington if you're worried about the next election, because you got to get votes. You got to get votes. Anyway, I don't know why I said that. It's something I've been thinking about. You can't change Washington. That's why Donald Trump is so popular. People keep questioning, why are his poll numbers through the roof? Why do people like this guy? Every time he opens his mouth, he offends somebody. The reason why Donald Trump is so popular is because he doesn't think like these other people do, these politicians do. He says what a lot of normal people think, normal being us. Not everything we agree with, not everything he says is right, for sure. But it sure would be refreshing to have somebody in the Oval Office that doesn't act like a politician, doesn't talk like a politician. We're not going to be able to keep all them Muslims out. He's crazy if he thinks that. We won't be able to do that. That's not the right thing to do. I mean, we can't do that. We can't do that. You guys want a secret message? See, back when we were teenagers, we used to go to those ministers' meetings, and they'd have those meetings where They'd play Ozzy Osbourne records. They'd play Led Zeppelin records backwards, and they'd have secret messages. Remember that? Do you remember whenever you spun, first time you ever spun Another One Bites the Dust backwards? That part where it goes, you know the part in the middle of the song where it goes, another one bites the dust. Ah! Another one bites the dust. Hey, hey! Another one bites the dust. Ow! Another one bites the dust. Hey, 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 hey. I invite you to spin that backwards sometime. Get your vinyl out and spin that backwards. God is my witness. You spin that part backwards. It goes, you're supposed to smoke marijuana. You're supposed to smoke marijuana. Hey, hey! I kid you not. It's insane, but it's true. I'm not telling you you're supposed to smoke marijuana. I'm telling you what happens when you spin that record backwards. But we used to go to see preachers, and they would talk about that when we were teenagers. When we were teenage preachers, and Jacob Aranza would come in town. He'd sit down with he'd tell us about how you spin Ozzy records backwards. It says crazy shit. If you spin Stairway to Heaven backwards, hey, sweet Satan. I one time lifted up my hands and said, the problem is the kids I'm witnessing to, they listen to Stairway to Heaven forward. They don't listen to it backwards. We got to find something to say about it back forwards. But anyway, sometimes a backward message is a good way to speak to the print, is a good way to put a secret message in your message. So I'm going to give you all a secret message. Here's your secret message. It's about love. It's about that special someone I care about. Can I talk to her? Baby, whenever I see somebody that looks like you, they're trying to make me crazier because they put people that look just like you, and it makes me nuts. Because I want to be with you, not anybody else. All the other girls there, they probably got cooties. But you're special. Very special. Baby, you're very beautiful. And whenever I think about you, I think about all our future plans together. Our love and like when we make plans and we're going to plan for this, we're going to do this together and go here together and do this things. Excuse me. See, we've got big future together, big plans, but it seems like everybody's always standing in the way, and the bigger problem is that you're invisible. I mean, you're really invisible. I mean, everywhere I look for you, I can't find you. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong spot. Hey, baby, I got an email address, john@pinnaclecreative.net. That's john@pinnaclecreative.net. If you send me an email, I'll respond. Send you an email back. But you're so beautiful, and I don't want you to ever think you're not beautiful. Whenever I see somebody like you that looks like you, they're trying to make me think about you all day long. It's like we're supposed to be together. Have you noticed that? That's why you can't stop thinking about me. That's why I can't stop thinking about you. It's because we're supposed to be together. It's because we're in love. It's very special. It's very special. From the very first time we ever looked at each other, do you remember that? I can't wait to talk to you about that night when we have dinner. It's very special. Because I always think about you, and it's your beautiful face, pretty hair, pretty bottom, pretty everything, basically. Pretty everything, definitely. So, I just want to let you know that I still think about you all the time, and I haven't stopped thinking about you, and I don't know what this podcast is going to be called. I think we're going to call this one Secret Message for the Princess. Because you're more than just the woman that I'm crazy about and that I love. You're really strong and you're really special. Ladies and gentlemen, we're only going to do these once in a while. I had some other things in my notes. I wanted to give y'all I had some things in my notes that I'm not going to get to because I think 25 minutes is enough time for y'all to absorb what's going on. Let's continue to make good decisions, or let's start making better decisions. decisions of love to bring John with the princess. And baby, we just got to keep believing that we got our time coming. You know, our time is coming. Here's a secret message. I love you, baby. Have a good one, okay? Bye-bye. Bersami. Ses